Today we're breaking down inland Oceanside versus Vista, not the coastal areas, downtown Oceanside or South O or Fire Mountain, any of those other areas you might have heard. We're breaking down and comparing places people are actually looking at when they're looking at Oceanside versus Vista.
And here's what almost always happens. People come out here to visit and tour San Diego, thinking about moving out here. They visit Carlsbad, they visit Encinitas, and they love it. So then they start looking at what their budget actually buys them in those places and realize that going just a little bit further inland gets them a lot more of what they want.
And this is where the real decision comes in, because Oceanside and Vista, they're not the backup plan. This is where a lot of buyers realize that they get the house and the lifestyle they actually want.
And depending on your personality, one of these is going to feel immediately right, and the other one is not.
And if you're new here, we help people every single week relocating here to North County, San Diego. I'm Chris Erickson. We got Cassie Lewis. We not only out here showing homes every single week, but we are also born and raised. So we've lived here our entire lives. And we actually have clients who are trying to make this decision right this minute. So let's get into it right now.
So we're comparing 5 things that are actually going to help determine whether you're going to enjoy living in inland Oceanside or Vista. And one of those obviously is going to be price. We'll get into that a little bit later, but that obviously is an important one for a lot of people. But the really important one is that neighborhood feel. So just starting with inland Oceanside, one of the big things is it's predictable. A lot of master plan communities, Rancho del Oro is right kind of in the center of it, and it's hundreds of homes that are all very similar. So not a ton of character, not a ton of different looks.
You'll see it in the drone. We'll drop some drone footage here too. You'll see it going over the top. It's just like
same roofs, same, yeah, I mean.
Check it out right now.
And they do have villages throughout, so there's a couple of different looks, but once you get into these neighborhoods, they're very, very similar. But, you know, it does have that neighborhood feel. There's little pocket parks, there's sidewalks, there's a lot of walkability, basketball courts, a couple of trails here and there, just kind of within the community. So it definitely has just a little bit cookie cutter and suburban, as you would imagine, in that area of Oceanside. And it's not just Rancho del Oro. You've got Ivy Ranch, which is just the neighbor, very similar, a little bit newer, but still a master plan community. And then Guajome Park, which is a little bit of an older master plan community to the right, where you've got some just older homes, but kind of same
to the right
feel.
Or east?
East, I guess, yeah, not to the right. If you're looking at a map, it's to the right. Yeah, sorry about that. And then to the north,
the up.
You have Arrowwood, which is one of the newer of the master plan communities, and is all kind of centered around Arrowwood Golf Course. And then you have brand new being built right now, which is North River Farms, kind of in that more agricultural area of Oceanside that we actually have some clients interested in right now. So if you are thinking new construction, it is going to be a big community, so definitely get in touch with us if you want some more information about that.
And then neighborhood feel for Vista, it's a little more mixed. Now you do have that similar feel once you go to the southern portion of Vista. There's a big master plan community called Shadow Ridge, surrounding Shadow Ridge Golf Course. Once again, just kind of big old same houses here, different villages as well, so very similar. But as you spread out from there, you get a little more different architecture, you get a little more custom, you get a different, especially when you get to like the northern area Vista, like the foothills area Vista, which is one of my favorite areas of Vista. But you get spread out, usually you're gonna get a little bit older homes. I mean, it's so mixed up there. There's newer infill communities. There's areas like Buena Creek where you get bigger homes up there. So it's not just one option there. You have multiple different options to choose from when you're getting into this area of Vista. Northern Vista, once again, not, you know, manicured. You're not gonna find a ton of sidewalks. Southern Vista, you're gonna find that, or at least the Shadow Ridge area. Because even Southern Vista, as you go up Melrose and a few other areas, I mean, it's still kind of that rural feel. It's kind of like Vista as a whole has, even though in Oceanside, as you go further east, it does have that farming community. Vista just kind of feels more like that farm community got built out, right, over time. And you're still gonna find little pockets where you're gonna see some greenhouses and that kind of thing. And so Oceanside feels like a built out suburb, where you get to Vista, it feels like it has a little more character, a few more options for you to choose from.
So we had some clients reach out a few months ago thinking Vista versus Oceanside, and they came out and visited and pretty quickly decided that Vista was the spot for them and not Oceanside. A lot of it came down to they didn't want that cookie cutter. Even though we looked at a bunch of houses that were that style, that suburban Oceanside, but they ended up wanting just a neighborhood that had just a little more character, where houses weren't exactly the same. And Vista definitely offered that to them. And you usually know pretty quickly just driving through these neighborhoods which one is a good fit, which one kind of fits your personality a little bit better. And we're curious, which one do you prefer? Planned versus a little bit more character? And you can just drop a comment right below.
So we've helped a ton of people move out here to San Diego, so we know how hard it is to choose between Vista, Oceanside, or different areas within. That's why we put together this guide for you, dial you in on the San Diego climate, schools, everything you need to know, neighborhood guides when you are thinking about moving out here. So get that downloaded and let's get on to the next point. Now, what about comparing location or commute? Now, the same distance doesn't necessarily equal the same lifestyle. We always like to say here in North County, San Diego, you're gonna be living in your bubble, right? You're gonna be living where you're at within like a 20-minute radius. Obviously, you can go out of there, but you're not like locked in.
You're tethered.
You're tethered in, but it just tends to happen. So even though, you know, they're relatively close, so Oceanside and Vista border each other, right? Especially that eastern section in Vista, they're almost on the same plane. Vista's a little further inland. But even though they are similar, it definitely feels like Oceanside is a lot closer to the coast. You can have some of those late night, or not even late night, just like kind of quick trips to the beach, and you're closer to the I-5, so the 5 freeway. You have a few main roads. Oceanside Boulevard can shoot you right down there. You could drop down to the 78, go across. You can drop up to the 76. Those are freeways, by the way. So if you don't live here, you have a freeway to the north, you have a freeway to the south, you have the 5 freeway that's going up and down the coast. And Oceanside's gonna tend to be like a little bit closer. Like, let's say you were exploring that Carlsbad area, you loved all that area, you love the village, that whole spot. You're gonna be a little bit closer to that. You'll probably have easier access. Also, downtown Oceanside, which has seen a ton of growth. If you guys have seen any of our other videos, we're touring around and telling you what's happening in Oceanside. And there's just been a lot from when we were growing up kids. It used to be kind of drive through, you know, there wasn't a ton going on.
Or don't drive through.
Or don't drive through. Now it's a drive to destination with a ton of food places popping up. There's some old local favorites too, don't forget about those. And it's just become a vibe. And you kind of feel like new places are opening up pretty much every week. I mean, it's probably not weekly, but it kind of feels like that. So a new place to go eat dinner, a new little shop, a new restaurant, all that kind of stuff. It's pretty cool. And living in inland Oceanside, you're gonna be a quick shot right down there.
So Vista, commute, and location, you're a little bit more 78 dependent to get west or get east. And it's a little bit more like side roads and not a big thoroughfare. So like for Oceanside, you have Rancho de Oro is a big street that takes you a long way. Oceanside Boulevard going east to west. Vista doesn't really have that. It's a lot of weaving in and out of things. Melrose is the main road that goes through. But
you don't have to remember all these roads, by the way.
Yeah. Well, there's no quiz at the end of this. But it just, Vista tends to just be a little bit more longer to get to the 78 freeway just because you are kind of weaving in and out of some of these neighborhoods. And then you are just more inland. So it's a little bit easier to get to kind of the more eastern parts of getting over to the 15 freeway. And it makes beach trips just a little bit more planned, where Oceanside you might be able to just hop in on a Tuesday evening and go and hang out at the beach a little bit. You kind of just have to plan your beach trips a little bit more in Vista. Whether you choose Oceanside or Vista, where you work and where you're going to be commuting to could be a lot different based on which one you pick. So definitely a big decision, because neither Oceanside or Vista are a large job hub. A lot of the jobs are going to be further south, either on the east or the west side. So Vista is going to be easier to get out to the 15 if you're going down to like Rancho Bernardo, Poway, Mission Valley, a lot of the Kearney Mesa on the east side. A lot of those are a lot easier to get to from the 15, where Oceanside is going to be closer to the 5. So if you're going to downtown, Serena Valley, some of those spots are going to be a little bit easier if you're in Oceanside.
And now Carlsbad, in between them both, well, not really in between, but nearby, does have a decent sized job hub. We just made a video and I think there was like 7,000 different businesses in Carlsbad, all kind of, not all, but a lot surrounding the like Palomar Airport. And so if you're choosing one or the other, depending on what specific area you choose in these cities, can definitely have, you know, if you are Southern Vista and Shadow Ridge, quick shot to there. If you're North Vista, the foothills, going to take you a while to get down there. So it's very important to figure out, you know, how far you actually want to commute, and it helps determine exactly where you want to live.
So next up is schools. We know how important this is. We both have school-age kids. So when you're making a decision on where to live, we know that schools is near the top of the list, if it's not the top of the list. So the main difference between Oceanside and Vista is just the size. So Oceanside is a way bigger city than Vista, which means the school district is bigger than Vista. So just something to keep in mind, that there are a bunch more schools that you could feed into in Oceanside versus Vista. And we're not talking about ratings. You can go and see what the school's ratings are, but it's not the end-all be-all. It really comes down to like what these schools have to offer, what programs they have to offer, and you can get a lot of that information on the specific school's websites. You can also see like how many tenured teachers, meaning how many teachers have been there a really long time. And that kind of gives you a good insight into what education might look like in both Oceanside and Vista. And when you're out here too, you can go to some of these schools, you can set up meetings with the schools to kind of just interview them to see what the fit might be or if it might be a fit for your kid. We had clients that were looking at a very specific part of Vista. They loved the neighborhood. That was kind of the most important point for them. And then they just figured out schools. So they went to the different options. I think it was middle school at the time. And there wasn't a really good fit. They found a private school that they really liked, a little bit more because of sports, not because of education or anything like that, but they found the right fit for them. And there's other options too.
Yeah, my brother lives in Vista as well, and they don't go to their home school. Like, you know, how San Diego works, like you have like your home school, there's other options potentially that you can go to. And so the school that they were zoned for, like I said, just didn't have the stuff that they were looking for. So they go to a charter school. So in all these, and Oceanside has that too. They have charter schools, which if you guys don't know what charter schools are out here in California, it's basically a public school, but it offers different programs. They follow a charter. That's why it's called a charter school. So they have specific things that they do within these charter schools. And if that's something you're looking for, there are options in that realm as well.
And when looking at schools, either in Oceanside or Vista, the myth is that you're looking at just scores and making that decision based on that, when in reality, you're really making that decision based on what your child's daily life is going to be like.
Now let's get into the fun part, especially if you're living out here. Lifestyle, amenities, who wins the battle here? Well, it really depends on what exactly you are looking for. Oceanside, more coastal. We mentioned the beaches earlier, right? Then living in your bubbles. And Oceanside, I think you're gonna get to the beach more if you're living in Oceanside. Once again, straight shots, it's just kind of in the vibe, it's kind of in the air. Oceanside as a whole, everybody living there is super proud. They also go to the beach a lot. So anyways, living in Oceanside, you're gonna have more access to that. A little more access, like we mentioned, to the Carlsbad Village, to downtown Oceanside, and everything going on down there. We don't need to get too much into that because we already let you know. And then right around the eastern portion of Oceanside, you have a little bit more shopping, a little bit more convenience factor, where you have little shopping centers. Once again, they're like little strip malls. Is that what you call them? Little strip mall-ish, little commercial centers. So that's like down to the south. You have a big shopping center down there with restaurants and bars and upper crust pizza. Yeah, you got to go to upper crust. So you got all that right down to the southern portion. Plus, you're going to find little shopping centers here. When you go up to the 76 freeway, that's where you're going to find a big strip of kind of anything and everything you're going to need, from big hardware stores like Home Depot to your Targets to what else is up there?
Walmart, all of them,
everything.
Yep. Anything, yeah. Big box stores. Most of them are up in that kind of like 76 corridor.
Yeah,
Oceanside.
And all that is, like I said, 76 is like a highway, freeway with lights. It's all up and down there, so you have a quick shot to all of that as well. And Oceanside's going to tend to have more parks, especially Rancho de Oro. That whole area has like a ton of little pocket parks within the neighborhoods. You have a bigger community park in the center. You have a little bit further Guacome Park, where you can actually camp out there, which is pretty cool. A little bit further, kind of on the border where we're talking about, is going to be Front Wave Arena. So it's a newer construction building, arena. And community. Yeah, I guess all that.
Yep.
And that's where the San Diego Sockers play. That's where they play some, what is it, G League?
Yeah.
Some G League basketball.
Clippers.
They have events there, that kind of stuff. I've been to both of those. Soccer games it's indoor soccer. It's so much fun. It's a 7,000 or 8,000 seat arena. It's super cool. I love it. So if you like soccer or you just like entertainment, they also have other events and stuff. They have like a gymnastic event, concerts.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to continue as it's fairly fresh. It's like a few years old. So as that continues, they're going to be bringing in more stuff to there. So you do have a little bit more entertainment there as well. And yeah, you do have the beach within 15 to 20 minutes of a lot of these areas. So obviously, you know, Pacific Ocean's right there, but they're also building something called Ocean Camp, and it's been delayed, now breaking ground, but it's a wave pool, like right in this kind of area of Oceanside. So in the future, they're actually gonna have a wave pool. It's gonna be like a whole resort kind of area. They're building out a new community there. Delay. But stay tuned for that. We'll keep you updated on what's going on right there as well.
And as for lifestyle and amenities for Vista, we'll kind of break it up into two parts because it's very different. On the southern portion, where you're in that Shadow Ridge, a little bit more master plan community, you kind of have older little shopping centers. You've got your grocery store kind of right in the middle of Shadow Ridge. There are a lot of things around it too, so we kind of lied. Just to the south of that, there is a little business district, Vista, where you have Amazon distribution and a bunch of other companies in there. And so there's a bunch of amenities in there. There's the secret Target. Don't tell anybody. Secret Target's down in there. But it also is right next to Bressie Ranch. So just like a 5-minute drive or 10-minute drive from a lot of that Shadow Ridge is going to get you into a lot of Carlsbad amenities too, which is cool.
Tell them what Bressie Ranch is.
Oh yeah. Bressie Ranch is a master plan community in northeast Carlsbad. And there's a two big main centers that have a bunch of restaurants. One of our favorites is right in there. You've got Casero, Mexican restaurant. You've got Board and Brew, maybe my favorite in
Good
that.
spot, yeah. Local staple. If you're moving here,
yep.
you're gonna go there.
Yeah, exactly. So a big center with a lot of amenities. Obviously, you've got your, I think it's Sprouts and Bevmo and some of the really important things in life are right there also. So that's kind of that southern portion of Vista. Straight shot from there to the beach down Palomar Airport Road. So a little bit easier to get to than kind of deep in kind of North Vista foothills area. And in this southern area is where you're also going to have a lot of the breweries that are in Vista. Don't know if it's a main reason people move to Vista, but it's definitely a bonus. And there are a lot of the breweries are off of Sycamore, kind of, we call it the Sycamore corridor. There's a ton of, you got Pure Project, you got Booze Brothers, you've got a whole bunch of really good breweries in that area. And as for North Vista, kind of Main Street is going to be your main jam, kind of that Vista Village area. You've got grocery stores, you've got Fraser Farms, you've got a whole bunch of little restaurants, a lot more like local restaurants than you see like in Oceanside. And Belching Beaver is another one up in that north where you've got restaurant, brewery. You've got the Yellow Deli, which is a really popular one, but there's a bunch of options you can choose from kind of in that downtown Vista area.
And that's going to be the area, if you're living in North Vista, you're going to go like date nights and that kind of stuff, like back to my brother, living in your bubbles, right?
Yep.
If you're living in Vista, this is probably going to be one of your little spots with best pizza and beer. They love going there with the kids and the family. And then Burger Bench, it's a nice little burger spot in there. Yep. But yeah, it's a cool jam.
And one of our go-tos there too is Virgin has a location. Virgin Beer Company, which is probably our favorite in San Diego, has a cool little spot there where you can order food from 3 or 4 different local spots where they just deliver it to your table in Virgin. Really cool, especially if nobody can decide on what they want. You can just choose from the different restaurants.
Yeah.
And just a really cool spot to check out. So if you are living in the foothills or Buena Creek or something like that, it's not right next to that Vista Village area, but you know, it's a little bit of a drive, but not too bad.
10-15 minute stops.
Yep. And there's not a ton of parks in Vista, but there is Bringle Terrace Park, which is a really cool spot. I used to play softball there every Sunday for a long time, and they do have softball leagues. They have disc golf,
frisbee golf. We did some in one of our vlogs a long time ago in Vista. We played some frisbee golf, disc golf, if you will.
Yep. They have a theater there, so they have some cool musicals, plays, and stuff there. Some music performances, and a lot of events there. They have the Highland Games are at Bringle Terrace Park. For any of you, 4th of July, movies in the park during the summer. So that Bringle Terrace is one of the main, I guess the main park in Vista, and they do have a lot, it's where a lot of the events and that kind of community comes together in Vista.
And one thing, if you're moving out here and you're buying a home, one of the most important things is going to be the cost of your home, so pricing. And that's why we're comparing Oceanside and Vista, because the pricing is relatively the same. Where you're looking about average price point right around $950,000. And what you get in Oceanside is going to be, as far as house, is going to be a bit different than what you get in Vista, especially when you're looking at certain areas. Oceanside, you're tending to get a little bit newer-ish homes. So not brand new or anything like that unless you get new construction, but newer equals smaller lots. So a lot of the lots are going to be smaller in this area. Once again, HOAs throughout a lot of the area, and also a little bit more coastal. So if you're looking into the beach areas, you're going to want to probably tend to go towards Oceanside a little bit more. Now, when I think of Vista, I think a little bit older homes in general, especially Northern Vista. Once again, we mentioned Shadow Ridge. That's kind of an island on its own. So if you guys want to chat more about those, hit us up. But you're going to find a little bit larger lots. You're going to find a little bit more space, especially in certain areas. I think as a whole, a little bit more of those single-story homes, a little bit more of that ranch-style homes. So if you're looking for that, while you're a little bit further inland, you're working with side roads, you're working with a little bit more heat, kind of, a little bit further inland, depending on where you are in Vista. But then Vista is going to be your go-to. And in Vista, a lot of these, since a lot of the area does have a little bit bigger lots, you do have a little bit more opportunity to build an ADU. So if you need a little more room, you want to build an extra house on your property, there's a lot of things that have changed here over these past few years as far as putting an ADU on your property in San Diego as a whole, in California. But out of these two, I think Vista is going to give you more opportunity for that.
Obviously, when you're making this decision, it's a big one, and there's a lot to go through. And we have a ton of other videos about Oceanside and Vista where we get into the neighborhoods, kind of show you around, kind of that vlog style where you can kind of feel what it's like to be in these communities. And we have got one popping up right there to check out, and we've got your back when moving to San Diego.